Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon.
Sound like Mary Hartman.
It's never, ever going to be right again. I don't know. Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs. I am thrilled to death that you are listening, and so is Tony, and so is Jared. We are all very, very happy that you are listening to our show, the Guitar Knobs podcast. It is going to be a delightful ride in the back of the El Camino tonight. We've got a very special guest. Guest, who are you?
I'm Ralf Gottschalk from Wonderful Audio Technology.
Right on. We have a wonderful audio technology pedal in our possession, and we are really loving it. So we're going to get into that, find out all about Ralf and his awesome buildiness, and find out about some influences and all kinds of good stuff. We have we just need to, just a really quick, if there's anybody joining us for the first time, we've gotten a lot of new follows and stuff on Instagram. So if, Tony, would you like to share what we generally do here?
We like to talk about gear. Specifically, we like to talk about boutique gear. And that would be things like guitars and amps and pedals, accessories, all the good stuff. Occasionally, we will do a 101 episode where we learn stuff. Then every once in a while, lately we've had a couple of really fantastic authors on of guitar books. And so, if it exists in the world of boutique gear, you can count on the Guitar Knobs to cover it.
That's right.
Wow. All right. That's like a bumper sticker.
Or your money back.
Yeah. Well, or Tony's money back. You can have all Tony's money. Let's see here. We are going to get on to some, thank you for doing that. And Ralf, welcome to the show. We're really happy to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Where are you located right now?
I am in Redlands, California.
Oh, lovely. We've had a couple builders from Redlands. I'm trying to think. Oh, wait, wasn't Spruce was from Redlands, weren't they?
Blue Spruce.
I think it was Redwood.
Redwood. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Redlands is different.
Redlands is Southern California.
Much souther. Yes.
Much.
So,
way to go with your California knowledge, Todd.
Yeah, well, you know what? California could be a country in its own. It actually has, a little known fact, it has all of the seven ecosystems in one state. I think it's 7.
Really?
Yeah, kind of crazy.
What are the 7 ecosystems?
Tropical, desert, mountain, prairie, and coast.
That's 5.
All of the 5 ecosystems.
Isn't the Mediterranean one of them?
Mediterranean, 6. So there's a 7th. Raininess. Raininess.
How about polar?
Not polar. I'm going with raininess.
Raininess.
Yeah. Anyways,
I didn't know there would be a geography quiz. I would have studied.
Yeah. Well, you have to be prepared for all sorts of things.
Yes. We're gonna throw a whole lot of nothing at you. Okay, we're going to get cracking on. We need some announcements real quick. We need to say thanks to
Road.
That is correct, and a ginormous thanks, especially to Nick Stillman here for. We've got. I'm currently casting out of the Rode NT Mini USB here, and it is working out really, really nice, and just in the nick of time because we're in a level 3 snow emergency right now. So all of us got, I had to scramble and figure out how to do this better out of my house because I'm reliant on doing it in our studio. And fortunately, these arrived a couple days ago. Really outstanding piece of equipment. So thank you to Rode for helping us out there.
You know what would be cool?
What would be cool?
If you got a Mini Cooper, and then we could use this mini system to do a podcast from within a Mini Cooper.
I like that. In mini skirts.
No.
Ugh.
Oh, the visual. I'm so sorry for anyone who might be eating right now or doing anything, really. I'm sorry for the visual. You have to see a psychiatrist after that one.
Yes.
I also want to give a shout out to our previous guest, Lisa S. Johnson, who was just
Lisa,
an
yes.
absolute
goodness,
delight
yeah.
on the show.
Awesome.
She was a blast.
Yeah, I can't wait to have her on again next time that she does a big, giant book like that.
Even a small book. If she does a
small book, a pamphlet. Yes.
A brochure, if
A
you
brochure, a leaflet. Okay. Anyways, you yourselves out there, you've hopefully by this time listened to that show.
I did.
And you heard, yes, you did. And you've heard all about this book. You've seen images of the book. You can go get it. And it is at a crazy price right now on Amazon. And that is Immortal Axes, Guitars That Rock. And she also has the other one, 108 Rockstar Guitars, which is equally as awesome. And you can compare the two.
Let's get her up to number 1 position on Amazon, shall we?
I think we should.
Okay, let's do it.
And I'm just saying there is a surprise coming we're going to have a patron giveaway. So, yes, maybe a couple. So, stay tuned for that, everybody. Benefits of being a patron on the old Patreon. We also need to give a call out to, I want to just say an enormous thank you to one of our patrons, Steve Keys, for being so incredibly helpful. He set up a Discord for our podcast. And if you go to our bio on Instagram and you click on it into the link tree, you'll see the Discord group. Go and jump in. And they've set up all kinds of great channels within that where they've got a patron buy sell trade, and you don't have to be a patron, by the way. Like, you can just be a supporter and go in there and buy sell trade, all kinds of subjects and all the good stuff that you love about Discord is in that group. So really, really excited to let all of our listeners, supporters, and patrons, mix it up amongst themselves. All right, we need to get on to what is going on in our music world this week. And we're going to start off with Tanya Bolonsky, a.k.a. Tony Dudzik.
Yes, also known as...
Pick Guardian.
Also known as...
I don't know. What?
That guy.
Yeah. So
also known as the pickup guy, too.
The pickup guy. Right after that, we're going to check in with our pal Ralf. Okay?
Excellent. Well, as it happens, today I was perusing. Actually, Todd and I had a little discussion about 15-watt tube amplifiers not terribly long ago. And so I came up with a couple of recommendations for him. He was trying to go for kind of a Voxy sound, and of course, the obvious choice is a Voxy C15. And so one of the things that I remembered that years and years ago, I had actually 3 of these, were the Laney VC30, which is like basically Laney's take on an AC30. But not quite. It's a little bit different. It's a slightly different sound, but it uses...
Those are the British-made ones.
Yeah, well, they're that series was all made in the UK. But they also made a 15-watt version. Major difference. Well, like the VC30 had a 112, a 212, and a 210 version, which I had one of each of those, and then I sold them over the years. I used to run those in stereo. Good sounding amp. So as I was, digging through and doing some searches, I found one of the VC15 versions, which is a 110 15-watt EL84 amplifier. It's a little bit different from a Vox in that it's a AB instead of a Class AB, which is more like a Fender, versus Class A. Which is what a Vox is. But it still has the same kind of chiminess, I would say. And there's some other cool features that I won't bother going into. So,
super affordable too.
Well, this one, I just stumbled across it today. It was, these were made in about 2005, 2006 or so. And Guitar Center in Pittsburgh had one for $250, which is a steal by any stretch of the imagination. You're talking a 15-watt tube amplifier. You just can't go wrong with them. So as it turns out, I was able to purchase that through Musician's Friend, where I had some rewards credit, and was able to just get an incredibly stupid price on this amp. So we'll see when it gets here. It should be in the not too distant future if it's coming from Pittsburgh. But that was my big excitement today.
Yay!
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. I'm curious to hear that based on your recommendation.
Yeah, I think you'll like it.
Right on. Oh, you're giving it to me. Brilliant. I love it. That's quite a gift. Thank you, Tony.
Maybe when I die.
So, Ralph, why don't you tell us what's going on in your music world? The short version. We're going to do the interview later, so just, take it easy, pal.
Not much is going on in my music world right now. Just kind of, we've got a new child on the way, so and so I'm going to be needing to move out of my current office and move into the garage, and so we're actually starting. We've started construction on the garage to insulate it, and I'm actually really excited about it. I mean, I think it's going to be really cool to have another member of the family, and then also I get a little bit more space. Sort of forced me into thinking about reorganizing my entire situation and set up. I'm excited because I can set up like a permanent sort of recording space and something because I've been wanting to do more video demos on Instagram and do more, maybe set up a YouTube channel. So actually having a place where I can do that, is really exciting to me. So that's pretty much
a
what's going on
makerspace within your makerspace.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yes.
Very cool. Well, congratulations to you. Do you know what? I was going to say species, but is it?
I do know the species.
Do you know what set of chromosomes you have going on over there?
Yeah, we do. It's a girl.
Oh, that's
nice.
Lovely. I've got 3 of my own. It's the best. All right, and you're going to name it Jared?
Probably
not.
No.
Cool.
Not a bad name.
Yeah,
it's not a bad name. No.
Speaking of Jared, what's going on in your music world, buddy?
So I grew enough gumption to plug in my Klon using the one spot, and so I had the right adapter for that, and it works. It works good. I think I'm gonna A/B it one more time, a battery compared to the plug-in. Because it's, I don't know. I think it just seems like with the battery, it just seems a little more saturated to me. And I know it depends what kind of power source and how that pedal actually performs. Because I put in some crappy batteries and it was not good.
Yeah.
So I know that pedal is very sensitive to any type of, to whatever power you put into it, it's going to react accordingly.
Right.
So that was interesting. And
yeah. Tony.
What about you, old chum?
Thanks, Jared. Well, I had a very exciting week because I recorded a video for this because I thought it was worthy of it. So recently I picked up that Marshall Origin, which I really, really highly recommend. You can read all about it in the funny papers. It's the Marshall Origin 50 combo. So with the high, low, medium setting at roughly like the 50 watt, 20 watt, 10 watt kind of ness. And the only thing that I really didn't like was the speaker kind of had a little bit of a flubby bottom end, and the highs on that thing were just even when I was taming the trebles, it was really, there were some frequencies that was just like kind of hurt my ear, to be honest. And I looked into a couple suggestions on what people replace. I think Sweetwater replaces it with, I think they call it the Sweetwater Mod or something like that. They replace that speaker before it ships out, if you want them to, with a Celestion Creamback, I believe. And for my intent and purpose, I thought about that. I did a couple, listened to some comparisons and did a little bit of research. And I ended up going with our friends over at Warehouse Guitar Speakers, who we've had on the show twice doing speaker 101s. I went with their Invader 50. So it's 50 watt and speaker.
So that's kind of their version of a Creamback then, right?
Yes, but I think it has a little bit more dimension. And anyway, so I did a video of installing that into the Marshall. It was like, what's a big deal? You take out a couple screws and you pop the thing in. Not exactly. There's quite a bit more screws because you basically have to take the amp completely apart, like totally apart. But don't worry, everybody. I take you through it. Old amp master Todd here is gonna, yeah. But it sounds fantastic. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe how much that speaker made a difference. I mean, right out of the gate, I was like, this sounds like not a different amp in the sense that the tone spectrum and everything and the character is completely different. It sounds like, how do I say this? It sounds like a more expensive amp. It sounds like a better built amp. It smells like a better built amp. It's like this hidden character woke up, and the bottom end is tight, and it's like thwap. It's like if you dig into it, it moves the air, and it like. It's like a kick drum at the bottom instead of a floppy open, brass band kick drum or something like that. I don't know why I needed to make that comparison. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
The mids are, they don't feel as just sort of a flat mid signal. I feel like I'm hearing more distinction between the highs and the lows, the highs and low mids and high mids, and they are much tighter. And the highs are just like, they're not soft. They're just not brutal. They sound, it's like, oh, there's my treble, but I'm not going, oh my gosh, what is that frequency that's killing my ears? I am absolutely thrilled to death with the way that this came out, and it holds at high volume, and I'm just super excited. I cannot wait to play this live. It is outstanding. And the speaker, it's a great speaker, totally affordable, and highly recommend dropping one of those into, if you have that Origin 50, or if you just are trying to think of like, hey, how can I fix some of those things that I was talking about? This speaker absolutely does that. And I did it. I'm a dum-dum when it comes to this stuff. So there, you can do it too.
That's really cool. I really like the Creamback. I have this Marshall JTM 45 that I built from Mojo Tone, and I put it in a 212, two Creambacks in there, and I really like the way it sounds. But I also really like Warehouse speakers, and I have Warehouse speakers in most of my other amps, and so I definitely have to check out the Invader.
Man, if you did a Creamback and an Invader, oh golly.
Nice mix there.
I think so, because everything that I was picking up about the Creamback is that the Invader has a bit more heft, muscle on the bottom end, and a little bit punchier in the mid. I think the high mids, as I recall. I could be dead wrong, so if somebody's screaming at me, that is not the sound profile for a Creamback, I'm sorry. But it was enough to make me say, no, I think I want to go with the Invader on this one. And also, when I pulled out the speaker, you'll see I do a side-by-side comparison. I'll just leave it at that. Go watch the video, because it is rather remarkable. So that was a ton of fun. anyways, so let's get on with this. Jared, you got a whole bunch of pedals on your pedal board, and I bet that you did not go out and buy 50-foot length of cord and all the inputs and everything and make your own patch cables, did you?
No, I didn't have to because I used Tour Gear Design patch cables.
Brilliant.
I mean, I had a bunch of them, all different sizes, all different lengths, some S shape and C shape and...
How about the W shape?
No, stuff it, Tony.
Yeah. Those two? No, seriously. They are very, very easy to use. They fit anywhere on any pedal, and that's why I like them so much.
Yeah, they're great for top position jack mountings, especially if they're all clustered in with a 9-volt and all that stuff. So, anyways, totally. Ralph, are you familiar with the Tour Gear?
I've heard of them on this podcast.
Well, that's good enough for us. And I bet if you had a bag of them, you'd be reaching for them, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, I would need some patch cables right now to hook up my 4 on the floor.
Perfect.
So I could play with it.
Perfect. Well, you can go get those at tourgeardesigns.com. And if you use the code, the guitar knobs, you're going to save 10% on your entire order. That comes into play because you're probably going to say, look, I'm here. I'm going to load up my cart. And you can get a huge array of lengths and shapes that are insanely affordable. And they get to your house mighty quick. So go over to tourgeardesigns.com and use the guitar knobs in your coupon code and save that 10% and get those things on your board, okay? We want to give a big, giant shout out to Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring our 4 on the floor. Jared?
Let me get a little bit of this.
1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor. Okay, Ralph from Wonderful Audio Technology, or what? As you might see on the little icon. That's very clever. Give us your 4 on the floor.
Okay, yeah, my 4 on the floor is pretty hard to figure out what my 4 on the floor, but I have 4 pedals here on the floor right now. And the first one is the Caroline Corporation Hawaiian Pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds delicious.
Yes, if you like Hawaiian pizza.
I do. I like the pineapple.
Well, I find it's offensive to people that really like traditional pizza.
Hawaiian pizza, but I do like the Hawaiian pizza pedal. Tell us about it, Ralph.
Well, I mean, that's part of the joke about it. I think it's what's so brilliant about it. I really like this pedal because it sort of introduced a versatile fuzz to me, like one that you can do sort of the gated sound, and that you can also get like thick and smooth with it. I like kind of the humor behind Caroline Corporation. I think this pedal's really great. I think it's like if you had one fuzz, I think I could just live with this.
One fuzz to rule them all.
One fuzz to rule them all. I think this thing can do whatever you need it to do. And I just really like the company. I really like Philippe Hurden. I like his social media, Instagram stuff. Like, it's always very positive. It's just
and funny. He doesn't take himself too seriously.
No, he doesn't. And it's just a good company to support. And this pedal's great.
Awesome. I love it. What's next?
Next is the Blackout Effectors Crystal Dagger.
I'm not familiar with that one. Oh, yeah. See, I love it. There's always a new one. Oh, Blackout Effector. Wait, what did you say it was?
Blackout Effectors Crystal Dagger. They're actually not around anymore, unfortunately. But you probably could still find some of this.
Yeah, I see it.
Used.
I see it.
Yeah, it's a dual pedal. It's actually, I really like this. This is my first. I think this was my first boutique pedal that I ever bought. It's the Dagger side is a phaser. I think it's pretty much like the Small Stone, but it's tweaked out a whole bunch. So the frequency knob like goes fairly slow to almost like a ring mod sort of sound. So it's pretty versatile like that. It's really weird. It was one of the first pedals that I got that just really got weird, and I thought that's really cool. And I wrote a bunch of songs in my band using that side, and then the other side is the fuzz side. It's got a filter and then an octave switch, so octave up, and it's a really nasty, like gnarly fuzz. And then when you put the two together with the octave switch, you get just really crazy, and it's just a lot of fun. And I think it's just like it's really great pedal.
That's awesome. I mean, what's interesting is it kind of looks like a tame pedal.
Yeah, it's definitely not tame.
No, but it is somewhat misleading in the way that it's approached. It's like the light blue silkscreen on the raw metal. You know, it looks like, oh, this is going to be a really cool chorus, you know, for surf stuff or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it stabs you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. I like it. I like that we got a new one. I'm familiar with the twosome pedal that they make, like the dual fuzz with the two like screech owls on it. That looks beautiful, and it's orange and black. So I mean, you know. How about number 3?
Number 3 is the Catlin Bred Dirty Little Secret MK3.
Mm-hmm.
This one, so I started playing guitar because of 90s music influences, and I think really that
like Jesus Jones.
More like Right Here, Right Now. Is that the?
I was like, are you serious with that?
It's always funny. It's always funny.
It is.
I mean, that's a catchy tune.
That's it too. That's it.
Yeah. Well, no, it's probably like Pearl Jam, Mike McCready, Jerry Cantrell, Alice in Chains. Like their lead tones are just like, I just love them. I just love the way those early albums, like just the solos were, and so I was always seeking that kind of sound for my lead tone, and I just went through so many distortion pedals, and maybe I just needed a Marshall amp. Is really what I probably needed. But this pedal does that amp in a box Marshall sound really well. And I use it for, well, not all my solos, but my distorted hard rock style solos. This is my go-to, and I've tried different stuff, pulled this one off my board and then put a new one on the board, and I just always keep coming back to it. It's just really, I really like it.
Yeah, very, very cool. I actually used that pedal on, I think, 2 songs on our album when it was going into the Supro, and John just goes, "Hey, hang on real quick." John, the guy who runs the studio that we record at, and he came back and he put this thing on. I was like, "What'd you do?" And he said, "I'll show you later. Just play." I was like, "Oh, okay." And it was specifically for some lead stuff, and I was like, "Wow, that's awesome." So, anyways, yeah, I agree. That is a great pedal, and it's still like, it's actually really affordable used from what I've seen.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And there's DIY kits up, or like PCBs that you can get if you're one of those.
Yeah,
like I am.
One of those guys.
Like I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
How about number 4?
Number 4 is the Strymon Dig.
Oh.
So, yeah, it's a digital delay. And before I was exploring delays and tried a whole bunch of different kind of delays, and the band that I was in, or I still am in actually, it's kind of like, it's not really a hard rock band, and they kind of want to do more dancey sort of music and
like
stuff.
Jesus Jones.
Like Jesus Jones, yeah.
I got a twofer out of that one. Oh.
I'll try to set you up for another so you can get free.
Jesus Jones.
But so I do, in that band, I do a lot of like syncopated sort of like delay sounds, like dotted eighth, sort of copping the edge.
Yeah.
But I like a lot of delays. I just didn't really like the way they sit in the mix. And honestly, I don't use all that many features on this pedal. I basically use one of the delays. I don't use both of them. Sometimes I switch over to the other delay, like if I don't want to have a busy sound on my lead. But it's the ADM algorithm on this thing, which is don't really know too much about it. It's not. It's a little bit more percussive sounding, and it's not too bright. It just sits in the mix really well. So when you have a bunch of repeats and you got that dotted eighth sound going on, it just kind of blends in nicely and lets it doesn't get too busy. It's just a really great sound. And
I think I know what you're talking about. Like sometimes if you have the repeats and on like those eighths and stuff, the roundness of a delay can start to kind of like double up on itself a little bit. And when you said percussive, it's sort of like I think I'm hearing what you're talking about, which is it makes it notable, but not like ultra forward in the mix. So it's like you can hear what it's supposed to be doing, but you don't get all the other stuff if it's like kind of they're bunking into each other. Yeah,
and it doesn't.
That's what it says on the manual, actually.
Oh, does it? Bonking?
That would be amazing if Sherman said, you know what, we're just going to get Novak to write our stuff. No one would have a clue what anything does. It would be amazing.
I don't know. I was picking up what you're putting down.
Thank you. Well, that is a lovely 4 on the floor. I really like that. That's a good board, man. Or a good 4 on a board. Anyways, very cool. And I like that we got one that we're not as familiar with as well. And actually, the dig hasn't not been mentioned. Almost every other Strymon pedal has, but not the dig.
Yeah, it's not a very popular one, I think. But I think it needs more love.
I wonder why that is. I'm just wondering out loud. I don't know if anybody has like a theory on that.
I think because it's not like people want to go after the analog sound or the or more features. I have no idea. I had a thought.
I don't know. Cool, man. Well, very, very thankful that you shared that and didn't have a tuner. That was great. So we need to move on with the actual reason that we have you on this show, because you are a pedal builder.
That's right.
And you sent us one of the things that you make called Ancient Echoes. And, I pulled that thing out of the box, read all the stuff, did a little box opening thing. So if you guys want to go watch that out there, that's on our Instagram. And plugged it in and had a ball. I absolutely loved the sounds that I was getting out of that pedal. We'll get into all kinds of reasons why and everything. But the very next thing I said is, Tony, I'm bringing this pedal over. You gotta play this thing.
Yep. Yeah, that was, I really enjoyed it. And what really impressed me is the various combinations and sounds and everything. I could have played with that probably for the next week or so and still not been finished with all the stuff that it can do. So it's a great pedal.
It is.
Thanks. Awesome.
I guess we'll just go with this a little bit right now. One of the things about the Ancient Echoes specifically that I liked, and Tony kind of just hit on, is like I could play with this for a very long time and still get sounds out of it that are pleasing, because you're not, it's kind of like all the sounds make sense together. Like no matter where you turn the dials, it sounds, some aspect of it sounds easy and familiar to just get on with it. You're not having to go, oh geez, I pushed this level too far and now it sounds like garbage and it's fighting up against this other knob that I tweaked. And, sometimes these things can get so complicated because we didn't mention it's a reverb. And I don't think I mentioned that, did I? I just said Ancient Echoes, and thinking everybody knows what that is. It is a reverb. But Ralf, how would you describe this reverb?
It's a reverb that has a pre-delay in it. So the signal splits, and you always have the dry signal going through, and then you can adjust the overall effect level with it. And so it's got a pre-delay that you can adjust with the echo knob, and then it goes into the reverb portion of the circuit. that you can adjust the amount of reverb, the depth of the reverb. There's also a feedback loop in it that comes out of the delay part, and that then also hooks into a modulation section. And the feedback loop is sort of like that's why I got the big knob on it, because which now I'm blanking on what the name of it was. It's the reflections knob.
Oh yeah.
Podcast jitters.
I made it. Yeah,
I made it, but I don't remember. But the reflections knob is how you control the feedback, and sort of that interplay of like the feedback going back into the delay portion of the circuit and coming back out of the reverb portion with the modulation on it, kind of gives it that sort of character. And there's a lot of filtering in there to kind of like give it a sound. Like I'm trying to make it sound unique and interesting. So
yeah, and I call this a reverb because I know it is technically termed as a delay and reverb. I incorrectly titled your pedal, but
delay.
So there's a couple other things that we really enjoyed about it. Probably goes into some of your approach to music, I'm guessing, but you clearly had a lot of fun with this. And sometimes when you say that means like, oh, this pedal's going to look really wacky or make all kinds of silly noises and stuff. By fun, I just mean that you saw this as a platform for being a little bit more imaginative with your actual creativity beyond the sounds that you're trying to create. That comes through in the pedal names, like dampen and resonance and reflections and summon. Those are not typical names that you see associated when you go like, oh, I'm going to dial in my what? I just need a little bit more, huh?
I summon thee.
Yeah. But then the little, I guess you'd call it a pamphlet, your instruction book, your manual, your guide, probably a guide, because I suspect you probably got into like some Dungeons and Dragons action at one point, or like Magic the Gathering or something.
Oh yeah, back when I was much younger, I definitely played D&D. Yeah.
Well, I think that really kind of accidentally spilled out all over this guide. And I encourage anybody who that if nothing else, get the pedal for the guide, because it's very creative, and I thought that was inspiring, especially because you took care to say, look, this is a pedal that can make a lot of different noise. And aside from the go-to one that someone might try to just dial in and leave it, you were kind enough to set up, I believe, 4 presets, and those were equally creatively named. Can you remember what those are called?
Oh, what did I put in the manual? I know I put one that was Finding Atlantis, Ice Caves. What was the other one? Night Visitors, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I need to look at it.
It isn't a test. Like we said, the pedal's actually at Rob's house, and we're in a level 3 snow emergency, so I couldn't get it back in time. Anyways, the point being is that you got really creative with like, that makes me go like, just like Ice Caverns. It's like, oh, wow, what's this going to sound like, right? And then like Night Visitors, how is this going to be different from Ice Caverns? I really appreciate that, because it's not just like, here you go, have fun. You took some thought into saying, I've spent time trying to create a machine that makes a lot of great noise, and it doesn't just make a great noise. There are different ways that you can set this up for your kind of sound that you want.
That's really cool. That those settings resonated, because I thought I've had people try it out, when I was prototyping and stuff, and they were kind of like a little bit confused because it's not traditional. Like, you think reverb, you think like, oh, well, I'll just set these settings, and it's not really traditional like that. So I kind of thought it'd be fun to just come up with some sample settings of like how I've explored this pedal, so that other people can find a starting point. And I've got actually more samples and more settings on the website. If you go to wonderfulaudiotechnology.com and then you look at the Ancient Echoes page, I recorded some audio samples and have sample setting knobs so all the ones that are in the manual, and then I think there's 2 more up there too.
Yeah, that's awesome. You should share, if you haven't already, share those out, and any other ones that you get. Like, that'd be great to see on Instagram as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So I have to say that right out of the gate, now, granted, I grew up, like, we were just talking about this, me and my family, was like, the whole idea that people latch on to the music in their quote unquote formative years. So like, say, 13 to 18 or whatever it is, like that. That's the stuff that really, really sticks with you, regardless of what era you grew up in. And when I plugged it in, I was like, I've talked about this before. Like, I love Echo and the Bunnymen. I love Psychedelic Furs. I love, like, stuff that, like, the Cars, that, like, all of that great stuff. And right away I was like, oh, there's Bring on the Dancing Horses. That's brilliant. Oh, there's President Gas, or like, whatever. I could hear those tones because it isn't just a straight reverb, but it isn't as heavy-handed as it is a delay and reverb. You managed to get the good things of both into one pedal and make it highly usable. And I could not believe the sounds, like, right out of the box. I was like, I just hit a chord and it sounds like there's like 2 guitars in here. It was great.
Wow, thanks. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, very impressed. So that's it, everybody. That's the show.
Thanks for coming.
So, Ralf, tell us a little bit. I mean, I know this isn't the only thing you do. We're going to kind of dip into your own, personal self real quick here. And I love, and I know Jared and Tony, like, this is where we like to see beyond the pedal, beyond the gear. How did you end up making pedals?
I ended up making pedals because I was in a band. I was actually I think at that time I was in 2 bands, and just like really starting seriously thinking about tone, mostly because in the one band I was the only guitarist. In the other band, the singer sometimes would play guitar, but I was the forefront of for everything. In the other band, I was the lead guitar, but I had to mix with the other guitarist, and it was a hard rock band, and he would use the Green Russian Big Muff all the time for his sound, which I wanted to complement that sound, but sit nicely with it, and not overbear it or be kind of pushed out. So I started really exploring. I really like to think to learn how things work, and I was always interested in circuits, and so I just started like tinkering and getting, looking at the DIY community, and ordering PCBs and looking at the schematics and studying stuff. And I got a breadboard and I started mucking around with that, and then just trying to like create sounds that were in my head. And I was doing that, and I was making pedals for some other friends who, like, they're like, hey, could you, get this type of sound? And I like, sounds like a fun challenge. I'll give that a go. And so I design a pedal that kind of would make that sound. And then a friend of mine, I'm friends with a guy named Kerry Nordstrand. He owns Nordstrand Audio. He makes mostly bass pickups, but also he makes guitar pickups, and I love his guitar pickups. I think they're incredible. So, and
shout out to him.
Shout out to him. But I'm friend Kerry Nordstrand Audio.
Oh yeah, he does good work.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. I was friends with him for a while, and he was like, "Hey, there's this really cool fuzz sound on this album. What do you think it is?" And I did a little research, and I found out what the fuzz pedal was, and it turns out it was like a one of those Marshall Super fuzzes, like that. And I built it for him, but I modded it a little bit, and he really liked it. And then he's like, "Hey, why don't we make some pedals?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I can make pedals for you, dude. I don't know anything. I don't really know anything." But I decided to do it anyways, and I was designing a couple pedals for him. He was selling pedals under a branch called Rocket Surgeon, and I built a couple pedals, and it was a lot of fun. And but it was also kind of hard because I had a full-time job, and coordinating and marketing ideas and just everything. It's just like it was kind of difficult to like really keep working on that, because when I do my pedal stuff, it's at night because that's the time I have to do it.
Kiss that goodbye pretty soon.
Yeah, I know. So I was like, I think I love doing this, but it's just not the right fit. And also being in business with a friend is
tricky,
complicated sometimes. Yeah, so I'd rather be friends than making pedals for somebody else.
Yeah. When Tony and I were doing our Bitcoin farm, we just it was really getting a little bit sticky, so we quit.
Yeah. but we made millions of dollars.
That one Tuesday, and then we sold it. Out of curiosity, speaking of that, like what were you doing before? When you were kind of like in the middle of I'm making pedals and I'm doing blank. What was your job?
Well, it's still my job. I work for a software company, and I'm sort of like
You're a big deal there.
I'm sorry?
You're a big deal there?
At Initech?
I'm at Initech. Yeah, I have as many as 4 people underneath me.
Nice.
No. I work at a software company. I'm sort of not really a developer. I work with developers. I'm sort of a project manager, and I guess I herd cats, because developers are sometimes like cats, and you just gotta like rein them in and call BS on them sometimes, and it's interesting work. It's really hard. So that's what I do as my day job.
Cool.
Yeah. Design software.
Right on. So, anyways, before I mildly interrupted you.
No, it's all good.
So you're deciding this is a difficult thing to do. So you made a decision of some sort.
Yeah, I decided to do my own thing. But the timing of that decision was pretty poor, because we just we're just about to have our first kid. And so I knew that, okay, that's going to take up a lot of work, especially because it's your first. So I kind of put that idea on hold, and then we had lockdown and the pandemic happened. So both my wife and I are like working from home and taking care of our kid, deciding whose meeting is more important, putting in basically like 12-hour days to only really get 8 hours together. So we were just exhausted all the time. And I just really couldn't start my business. I really wanted to start, but I just couldn't do it. And so finally, I guess like last year, like we worked things out, and I was able to start Wonderful Audio Technology, and that's that.
Nice. Isn't that hard when you're sitting on something or some ideas and you're like, I just want this to happen now. And you're like,
oh man,
realistically, this isn't going to happen for months.
Yep.
Yeah. And it actually like almost was 2 years. Yeah. And I couldn't get it started. I just, but yeah, finally, things lined up and I was able to start. So.
Cool. Well, can you tell us a little bit about some of your guitars and amps and things, your favorites?
Yeah, I might make Todd a little pissed, because probably my favorite guitar is a Strat.
You never have to worry
like the
about
people
making them
that
upset.
other people like them. I just don't. That's all.
Yeah, I know. I'm just making fun. My well, I have a decent amount of guitars that I've collected over the years. A couple Strats. I have this crazy Dean Flying V that's like got this kaleidoscope paint job on it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I use that in one of my bands. I always like pulling it out because I'm like this, like, I don't dress up for shows or anything, so I'm just like in my plain clothes, and then I pull out this crazy Dean Flying V
and step to the mic and go. So, anyways, here's Wonderwall.
No, actually, Jesus Jones.
Yeah.
No, and well, that and what else do I have?
What's your go-to?
I just got my go-to I guess my go-to. I use that Dean a lot. I really like it. And the other one would be I have this American Pro Strat that I stuck Nordstrand pickups in them actually. And that's my go-to just because I started playing on a Strat. I still have my first Strat. It's this Mexican-made, like sunburst, kind of like vintage tinted neck Strat that I just absolutely, I still love that guitar. And so I started on that. So a Strat is kind of home for me.
Sure.
I can kind of play whatever sounds I want on that.
Are those the Nordstrands? Are those passive or active pickups?
They're passive.
Oh, okay. Because I mean, at least in everyone that I've talked to, I mean, he's probably best known for his bass pickups and things like that. So I didn't realize he actually had a passive line too.
Yeah, he's got a guitar line. Yeah.
Yep.
I actually, I'm plugging it because he's my friend, and also because I love him. I think they're really great pickups.
He's a pretty big company. So he's been around a while, I believe.
Oh yeah.
He's I guess a little big company. Like his shop is pretty small.
Great stuff though. Definitely. Maybe we'll have him on one of these days.
Yeah, you should.
That'd be cool.
He's got interesting stories.
I'm getting that from you.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, that, and then my main amp that I use nowadays is a Mesa Boogie Lone Star.
Oh yeah, that's a great line.
Yeah, I really like that.
That was one of the ones, when he was talking earlier about Todd was looking for an EL84 style amp, and I think the Lone Star is in that. There's like the Subway Rockets and a couple of others that use EL84s as power tubes, and they're just it's not what you would call a typical Mesa Boogie amplifier, not a triple rec or anything like that. It's a good classic sounding amp.
Yeah, I think actually there's two models of the Lone Star. There's one with the EL84s, and then there's the one I have is the 100-watt version, which has 6L6s in it.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like it. It's my tone. I like versatility in my tone. I want nice clean sound, but then I also want to get really, really heavy and really distorted sometimes too. So I find that Lone Star does all of it really well for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, as far as, you talked a little bit about some of your, how you got into playing and stuff, but talk about some of your maybe music influences and guitar player influences, because sometimes I think that those can be different.
Yeah. Well, like how I got into guitar.
Yeah. Like what was it? Yeah. What was the first thing that made you go like, okay, I got to do this?
Yes. That moment, I was 16 years old. I'm on the water polo team. Go to one of the guys on the team's house. I didn't really know him. We go into his room. He's got this PV Raptor guitar and this PV amp, and he starts playing Outshined on the guitar.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, what the hell is that? That is, I want to do that. I want to do that so bad. And he showed me the riff, and I went home, and my brother had this like really crappy acoustic guitar. And I was just playing that over and over again. I wasn't even playing it right or anything. And I was like, I got to play guitar. And this is the 90s. So
Kim Thayil's a huge influence on me early on, for sure.
Yeah. I love Soundgarden. My influences to really start me playing guitar were Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the bands that like were popular at the time, and those were sort of
not Jesus Jones.
I'm gonna have to go back, and every time that's going to ding.
Those guitar. It's like once I started playing guitar, all of a sudden I heard guitar, and that's technical guitar work. All their songs are just, there's a lot of cool guitar work in there, and that's sort of like where my guitar story started. And then it wasn't until later that I discovered like classic rock and all sorts of other music, and really listening to other styles of guitar. And then I got into like 80 shred for a little while, where I was like really into, well, Steve Vai and Joe Satriani, and then now I'm like kind of more into I really like the Rival Sons. I really like more classic fuzzy sounding stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of a mix of all these.
Yeah. Well,
things.
anybody defined by one thing, I think, is probably not super fun.
Yeah. And also, like, musically, I also get defined a lot by whatever band I'm in. Like, I don't know if you guys experience that. Like, you have your sound, and then you join a band, and then you sort of adapt your sound to the band, and then like that sound sort of now becomes part of your sound, which is really cool. Yeah. I really like that.
Yeah. I make my drummer who's like schooled on Rush. He's like, yeah, but I'm schooled on Rush. I'm like, don't care. We're playing this.
Want to be in a band or not?
That'd be a good name for a band, Schooled on Rush.
Yeah. Yeah, not bad.
Or even just Schooled on This.
Yeah.
Schooled on Jesus Jones.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
Right here, right now.
He's probably listening going, guys, come on. So when you get those kind of influences and you jam them all up together, it does sound like you're pulling specific elements out of those things. You actually called a lot of those out. I especially like that you said there was some really interesting guitar work in the bands that you were describing, like Alice in Chains and Soundgarden and stuff, because a lot of people look at will listen to that and go, it all sounds like just easy power chords and stuff, and it's like no. There is a lot more, but the big difference, and I think this is what a lot of people were responding to, is that it was within the song and it wasn't showboated, which is where the high of the late 80s was happening. So I appreciate that you kind of were mentioning that, because that's something that I picked up on.
Yeah, I did get into showboat for a little while there, when I was really starting to like wanting to really play guitar. Then it was like, oh, Steve Vai, boom, I want to play like Steve Vai. And then, but it doesn't work in when you have a singer.
Yeah. Too true.
Yeah. And also you have to practice a lot to get that good. And I just, that's a lot of time.
Well, speaking of practicing, you got this. We talked about Ancient Echoes. And by the way, was Ancient Echoes a reference to anything? I know there's a couple books with that title.
No, it's not. It's just kind of the feeling that I got playing it.
Oh,
This is where the name came from. Yeah,
super. So again, speaking of the practicing part, like what are you working on and getting, building up this portfolio of yours?
I'm working on a lot of. I have a lot of like unfinished projects, and then when I decided to launch I sort of just like was like, I'm doing this, and I just like threw myself into a bunch of designs, and I was going to release 3 pedals at once, and then the project manager in me was like, what the hell are you doing? You can't release 3 pedals at once. It doesn't make any sense. So I've got 2 other pedals that are almost ready. One of them's ready. It's my pedal called Nivicola. It's actually it's a clone of a Black Russian Big Muff, but it's like a clone of my Black Russian Big Muff, where like those old pedals, they're all over the place. Like sometimes you get a good one, sometimes you get a not so good one, and the values drift over time. And I got one that I just really love, and so I spend a lot of time trying to get exactly that sound. And so the values that I used are a bit different than what if you go online and you look at the schematic, that it's different than what's out there. And I also found some like cool, like I guess NOS, like Russian transistors, that actually I've ordered these transistors and they came in the mail, and I like opened up the bag and I just got this like crazy strong odor of like tobacco and cologne. And I just like couldn't, like, I was just thinking like, I just imagined like where these transistors were coming from, and like I built up a character in my mind of like this guy, he's like smoking and just like packing these bags.
Comrade, we pack the bags after we have a nice smoke and lots of cologne.
Yeah, it's so, but those transistors really nail it, I think. And then I found some cool Russian diodes that when I was doing testing, I just couldn't get the tones right. And the diodes just really, I felt like it made the difference. So that one, I'm almost ready to release that one. I just need to finalize a couple, like the manual, and that's it really. And then
now, really quick about the Nivicola, Jared and Tony, do you know what the Nivicola means?
No.
Oh,
would you tell us?
I'm pretty sure you were about to say the Hypogastura nivicola, which is the snow flea, which is what your pedal is named after, isn't it? It's also the Siberian bighorn sheep.
Yes, it's named
nivicola.
after. Yeah, it's named after. So I kind of like, it's a play on like, certain variants of Big Muff people really like, and like the Violet Ram's Head is one that people just love. And there is that sort of with the Russian style ones. There's green, and then there's like different generations of green and black, and there's different like enclosure styles or whatever. I don't know if that really matters, because those it's a crapshoot what you're going to get in there. They could be really good or really bad. And then so I was just kind of pretending like, well, what would a Ram's Head version of a Russian Big Muff sound like? It sounds like my pedal. That's what it sounds like. And then that's kind of where the name came from. So
nice.
Interesting. It's also a Hylaeus nivicola, which is a specific bee that lives in Hawaii. So you could have gone with any of those 3. You would have been money no matter what.
You sure it wasn't a defunct competitor of Coke and Pepsi?
It was terrible, Tony. I'm going to edit that. Anyways, you also have the Apex. Tell us about that.
The Apex. So the Apex, I haven't released it yet because I think it needs a couple more tweaks. As I was like playing it, and I got together with my band finally, and my jam band that I play with sometimes, and it just needs a little bit more. So I'm working on that out a little bit. But before I decided that, I was like, oh, I'm going to release this for sure. But the idea behind that was I really like the YouTube demos in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
And he did this rat week. And so every day of that week, he would play a different LM308 rat inspired pedal.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'd shoot them all out and then kind of play them at the end. And I thought it'd be like a fun challenge to create my own version of that. So like take the rat circuit, but do my own take on it.
Mm-hmm.
And not make it sound like a rat, but like where can I take everything that I love the rat, but I also don't like the rat sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to kind of like,
I think it
get
can
rid of all
sound
the
really
parts.
flat.
I think it depends on your amp. A lot. It's like certain amps, the rat sounds rad. And then other amps, like you're just kind of like, no, that's no.
I think anytime we make a suggestion, we should say it like this, so that it's really it's an informed decision.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, so someday that'll happen, I imagine.
Yes. Yeah. I think I've got it to a point where I'm really happy with it. I'm just going to let it kind of burn in a little bit, make sure that I do love it. And I've got a bunch of fuzzes that I'm working on because I love fuzz. And I've got one fuzz that is very near completion. So
brilliant. Well, this Ancient Echoes is going to keep you really busy, man. Because honestly,
I hope so.
It's such a great pedal. I'm really happy for you that you landed something that I haven't played one like this, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm glad that is out there for us players and collectors.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I'm really happy with Ancient Echoes. It took a long time to design that circuit.
Yeah, well done. We are going to round the corner and hop in the El Camino and swing by Jared's house. If you wouldn't mind riding shotgun to Tony, I'll climb in the back. Go ahead, Jared.
Well, I'm glad you guys showed up in the old El Camino because it's time for Would You Rather? Today's Would You Rather is from Mike D.
Mikey D.
That's right.
Mike D.
You've been saving up for months to buy a particular high-end pedal. When you finally have the money, it comes to your attention that a new version has just been released. But that's my luck. So the original model was already excellent, but version 2 adds some features that you didn't know you wanted until now. So the genie is out of the bottle. The new version of this pedal will sell for 20% more than its predecessor. However, the version of the pedal you originally intended to buy is now 20% off its usual selling price. You must choose one. Which will it be? Also, Big Clive and Tigers of Pantang equals awesome. Thank you.
Those are references to things we've brought up in past, and you are correct, Mike D. Both of those things are indeed awesome. Big Clive and Tigers of Pantang. Big Clive on YouTube, go look him up. It's fantastic. And Tigers of Pantang, because why not, right? All right, let's see here. We're going to try Tony. We're going to go around the horn. Tony, Jared, Ralph.
So I can get the original version for 20% off the original selling price, or I can get version 2, which has more features, but it costs 20% more. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That seems to be the gist.
That seems the gist. So
are you rich or poor?
I think that it's really going to depend on a number of things. First off, I would be curious if this pedal in its original form was an early one that maybe the person who is selling it actually built. And if the newer one is something that was, I won't say mass produced, but maybe built by somebody else. In a lot of cases, I think it's really cool, whether it's a guitar or an amp or a pedal or whatever, to have something that was made by the person or under their guide that it's an original form. I mean, some of the new features are always kind of neat, but I still a lot of times will tend to go for something that was, the earlier version that I know was possibly put together by someone that's developed it. So I'm going with the old school one. Plus, I can save an extra 20%.
You stole my logic.
That's the joy of going first.
Yes, that is true. Jared, about yourself?
Yeah, pretty much the same along the lines of Tony just explained. I mean, the guy who made the first version, he may have signed each one. He may have put a little extra scribblings in the case of the pedal. Mm-hmm. Hand wired possibly, so on and so forth. Just it's the same logic as what Tony just explained, and I won't go into as much detail as he did.
Yeah,
but definitely pay less for the first. I want the first version of that pedal. That I usually want the first version of anything anyway. Just I don't know why. I like original stuff. I don't know.
Yes, you do.
All right, Ralph, how about yourself?
Yeah, I think I'm following along. Like the pedal collector in me would want the original one just to have that because it's just cool to have.
Yeah.
Pedals like that. Yeah.
What about you, Todd?
Well, it's interesting because sometimes when they release a pedal that is like, hey, we updated it, it's like there's things that truly can make it better and that weren't necessarily considered. Sometimes it's just like, I don't know, I added this to make it different so I could have another run at it or whatever. But, whenever you get something along the lines of what you guys are talking about, I'm thinking like, the Red Noise Stone Blender or the Champion Lucky pedal boost. That I think we each actually got one of the early ones when he was hand painting them. It's like, that's special. That's special.
Yeah,
I will never get rid of that. Some of the Hello Sailor stuff is like, there's not another one like that on the planet. Even if it is a run of a certain thing, those are all individual. Now, we are not saying that automatically if you do a second run of something and you add something to it, that it's no longer valuable. There's no longer handmade. But, I don't know. There's some merit to having like, this is the first thing. You can always go back and get the second one later too. It's okay.
Yeah, buy them both. Anyhow, well, that was a good question. I don't know how much he anticipated that was going to be so heavily weighted on the first version of something, but that is the joy of doing what we do and being who we are, and we like collecting these. We like the variety of them. We like the little things that make them special and unique, and we're gonna scoop them all up if we can. So to keep making them. Make version 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 for all I care. Know what I mean? Do it.
Yes. All right. Well, we need to say thank you to a very special group of people.
Yes, Todd, because at this point of the show, there's a special group of people that we love to thank. These are our executive producers.
That's right.
Now, Jared's probably wondering, what's an executive producer?
I don't know.
Well, it's a person that makes the podcast possible.
That's right.
They go to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs and provide monetary support that help us defray all the crazy costs of bringing this every week to you. Holy moly.
Yeah.
So if you go over to that patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs, you can check out a couple different levels in which you can participate. How about participate? and become a sponsor of this podcast. Each level comes with a great bevy of thank you gifts. But in addition to all those gifts, that's right. Yes. Oh, holy moly. I noticed that the list gets longer and longer. But there's one more thing as an executive producer.
Yep.
Jared, what is that?
I'll tell you right now. Get to have your name read on the thing.
Your name read on the thing. That's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers. Moon Guitars. I'm over the moon for Moon Guitars. Vader and Pedals. Drew Lopez. John Halverson. Rick Calhoun. Trevor Gunberg. Elad Mizrahi. Gary Cooper. Jason Roush. Micah D. Richard Kendall. Mark Garton. Matt Hart. James White, Justin Jones, Anthony Gemolero, Bilgola Guitars, John Esterly, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, John Anglin, Tom Brazen, and this week, two new executive producers. Welcome aboard to John Sluhan and Rusty Sneeden. Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
Hey,
Love
Todd,
it.
I'm not done yet.
Oh.
Because we have, let's just call them the upper echelon of executive producers.
Ooh.
These are our grand poobahs. And these fine folks have a fez to place upon their head whilst listening to the podcast.
And at the same time.
Yes. And they share headphones, and they take hot tubs in individual hot tubs of some orange liquid, so to speak. Right. We're not sure what that is yet, but we'll figure it out one of these days.
Orange Crush.
So special thanks to these grand poobahs: Tom Emanasco, Ricardo Igareda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wound Pickups.
That's right.
Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Caden, Sam Jett, Tyler KC Rhines, LSJ Music Company. Did you happen to notice? I just realized this as I was listening and saw what Lisa, who we had on last time,
Mm-hmm.
she goes by LSJ
Rock Photos.
Photo.
Yeah.
So maybe they're connected in some way.
Who knows?
Maybe
I
not.
don't know.
Either way, thanks, LSJ. John Williams, James Pennington, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robinson, Jonathan Jerusik, also known as 12th Hour Devices, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S. And Rat King. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so very much. Okay, Ralph, we need to say a great big thank you to you for joining us on this show. It was a pleasure having you, and it was great learning about you and the cool pedals and stuff that you're making.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
You are welcome. Now, please tell all of the people who are waiting on bated breath where they can get a hold of your stuff and see more of your work.
Yeah, the website is wonderfulaudiotechnology.com. The Instagram is Wonderful Audio Technology. And I have Wonderful Audio Technology on Facebook. I don't use Facebook very much, though, but you can always email me also at info@wonderfulaudioTechnology. I don't mind if people email me to ask questions or even just talk about whatever.
Right on.
That's cool.
All right. Tony, where can people find you?
Just head over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the stuff that I have available for online purchase now that my site is back up. that was a fun couple of 8 hours. But anyhow, by and large, what I do is custom work. So shoot me an email. Let me know what you want, what you're trying to do. I might even have some good advice for you because I've done a lot of this stuff myself. So let's talk and let's make it happen.
Right on. Jared?
Message me through Instagram, Jared Pickup Winder Brandon.
All one word.
On Instagram. Yeah, all one word. It's brand new, so I'm not going to have very many followers.
Does that actually
I had
fit?
to break away from the Brandon One Pickups one, obviously, because of my new job.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Okay. Well, good. What is that again?
Jared Pickup Winder Brandon. It's just my stupid face as a picture. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Message me if you want to talk about, general things about pickups.
Okay, sounds good. You can email me, Todd, at you can email me, Todd, at theguitarknobs.com. You can also DM me on Instagram at guitarknobs. We would love to hear from you. Please send your thoughts and any would you rathers. That was a good one from Mike D. Can you top that? Can you best it? Can you do better? Send it to us. We'd love to read it for you. Yeah. And make sure that you check us out on the Discord too. Go to the bio link on the Instagram. And lastly, I'm gonna plug my band again. Go listen to the Villaintinos on Spotify. The Villaintinos, like villain and Tinos, but one word. And hope you dig it. If you do, let me know. All right, everybody. Thank you again to Ralph, and have a fantastic Guitar Week. And subscribe.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They're
Tony's Polish, so he knows everything about Europe.
Yes, I know everything.
Morning, Joe.
Okay, Ralf Gottschalk. No, doggone it. Exec.
Is he a poobah?
Exec.
Oh, not a.
No, that's why I said exec.
Copy.
Guten Tag, Josef. Guten Tag, Ralf.
Donkey.
You're seeing behind the curtain. Yes, it's not really a curtain. It's a really calcified clear plastic shower curtain that's all like yellow and pink at the bottom.
Because of his artsy talent.
Why do I always forget the name of the thing?
Oh. Underwear and the ghosts and all that stuff.
Pedal boost. That's it. Take two.
Got
Shulk.
Shulk. This should be a lot of fun.
All right.
Okay. Radio voices from here on out, everybody.
Right.
NPR voices. We're going to do the whole show in NPR voices.
Got chalk. You got chalk?
Or the...
Pedal boost.
Hey, hang on. How you say in business? That's what you get. Is one button. One button, Jared. It's just on. Ralf got. No, I'm not going to be able to say this now. Ralf Gottschalk. Okay.
I think the only one I can kind of do is Sean Connery, maybe, and maybe just people don't have the heart to tell me that I suck at it. So
Yeah.
I hate myself.
Yeah.
That was a podcast here.
Yeah. That was a Grinch, actually. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So we've got
get on the podcast.
Because I used tour gear, pedal cords. What do you call them?
patch cables, if you will.
Yeah, patch cables. Tour gear patch cables. Pedal cords.
Del Bico Bupo Besto.
Yeah.
Ralf Gottschalk. God dang it. I'm going to say Ralph. That's what I'm going to say. Here we go.
Do it.
Rusty Sneeden.
That's Jared, do a Swahili accent.
A Swahili accent.
Yeah. All right, man. We're clear.
Yay.
Cool. We did it.
Yeah, that was actually a lot of fun.
Good.
Wait, actually, what?
Yeah.
Ralph. I don't know why my voice broke.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/ facebook.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.